additions to the cast. Eternal Empire. Interesting. And we have the countdown. We are coming in. So the game is loading up. Some sounds for you, alright. Excellent. So as always, let me know if there are any issues. So, starting in the top right, representing Team GreenBirds, we have About to Live. Good to see some bands from these two players. And in the bottom left, representing Team GdA, we have the Blue Terran, Sansego. Is this better for volume? Hopefully that should have fixed it. Sansego. And the top players immediately, we have a extractor cancel to get out an extra drone for building an overlord. So slightly different opening from a Zerg player, don't often see that these days. Meanwhile, in the Terran side, it's a pretty standard opening. Going for barracks, getting a refinery up, and hitting a drone scout across the map. It's all pretty normal. So we're in the Decima TeamLeague playoffs. I believe these are best of 1 matches, and first to 3 or 5, best of 9 all kill format pro league. So Sansego is going to see the hatch. All pretty normal stuff so far. Now from here, we'll get to see, we see 6 lings coming out, so a little bit more than normal. Often we see 4 lings just to deal with the Reaper, which is still a ways away. But we see 6 lings here, which could be a sign of aggression to come. And certainly speed is on the way also. Hold off gas, so going mineral heavy now. These lings are going to make their way across the map, and we'll see if the Reaper decides to stay at home and try and fend off these lings. But no, Sansego definitely knows these lings are on the way, but has decided to send the Reaper anyway. So there will be no extra defenses for the Zerg player, no lings. So this could actually get a couple of drone kills if he plays his cards right. Be a tough defense. There is a queen on the way, so not too much of a problem. Lings will catch that drone scout. Yeah. Sort the levels out. About that. Okay. So Ling's not going to have any luck really pushing up against these depots being repaired, and a marine behind the wall. No problem. So Battle Lib not managing to get too much done there, but good defense from Sansego. We did get a oops. Okay, so Reaper doesn't look like it got too much done, no actual kills, so yeah, pretty normal. Checking the third, Starport coming, so there is a second command center being finished, obviously not on location, that's got to be floated down. Because of the defense against those lings, the reactor factory a little bit later than expected. There's only one Hellion on the map right now. Might be a little bit tough for Sansego to take this expansion actually, but I mean both these players are looking pretty even on their work account. Let's turn down the volume, sorry. Ripper's going to try and come in again to get a bit of a scout. Probably going to get picked off. And, well, it's only really going to see the evolution chamber. Don't think he actually... Yeah, no, he did see the lair, so that's a nice indication for him. But a fairly early lair, I would say, actually. But not too much of note. Now, we do have ranged being researched at this Evo, so probably a commitment into roaches or hydras is certainly what we expect to see at this point. On the side of Sansego, just picking up a couple of lings, but nothing too major. Got 3 Hellions out, so safe against any defense. Both players pretty happy to be on their sides of the map at this point in time. Getting some creep spread out. I expect to see a third from our Zerg player. Now we do have 2 gases taken, and finally some drones going in them. So very heavy on the gas from the Zerg player. Interesting to see what that could be. It could be a Spire. Seems the most likely player. But that hasn't come down yet, so going into Hydras off 4 gases, Spire and Hydralist in. So potentially not quite sure what tech he's going for, just giving himself options. Perhaps not the most efficient, but choice nonetheless. So committing into Bio, but not major commitments. We got Stim on the way, we got Banshee. Obviously we don't have any Cloak being researched just yet. So second Banshee on the way, so potentially some aggression coming across the map, just to some harass on the main, get some drone kills down. But really these players are very even on their work account, so Zerg player not really committing into the drone, still only 7 in the mineral line and their natural. Lurkers as well, so really pushing hard on that tech infestation pit, giving himself options, but perhaps not the best option economy, and we can see that the work is far behind now, 32 to 39 in favour of the Terran. Not a position a Zerg player wants to be in, certainly without a third as well. No third on the way. We'll see what this Banshee can get done. Second Banshee is on the way as well, so maybe going to wait for that second. No, deciding to go in regardless. Now he will see the Spire and also see the Lurker Den, so by logic he should know that there's also a Hydra Den, and plenty of Hydra's going to be here to defend that. No micro at the moment, just content to see, but 6 drone kills, not bad for 1 Banshee. Potentially could have pulled away those workers, but decides to stick it out. Second Banshee on the other side of the map, potentially going to be coming across. Nice to see a game on Eternal Empire, of course. Not too often that we see this map these days, as it is no longer in the ladder pool. But a very good macro map, obviously. Long distances, many bases, and some good defensible positions, so often we get to see some longer games here. Got some missile turrets coming down. Obviously he's Sansego's seen that Spire, so just throwing up some precautionary turrets, which is obviously not a bad choice at all. No upgrades on the way for our Terran player, so we do have an engineering bay. Must be a second engineering bay because we have a turret up already down, but no upgrades. Oh, here we go. So +1 range has just started, or +1 ground. Now, meanwhile, the Zerg player going very heavy on the upgrades. 3 in progress, 2 carapace, ground and air, plus ranged weapons level 2. So potentially with these Vikings we could see some overlords pushed back, or even probably killed really, but deciding not to do that just to keep these Vikings at home. This Banshee is, oh there we go now, so there we have the Viking going across. The Banshee did, second Banshee didn't go and do too much in the end really. Creep spread not too bad. I mean we could see some of these tumors pushing a bit further across, really choosing a attack path. Neither player deciding to go, as I say it, neither deciding to go for their third. But here we go, we see About to Live taking his third. as we speak. Going straight for those gas guys as well, so really committing to that gas, and not always able to suspend it, but not crazy bank from either players. Potentially a little bit on the Terran side. Armory on its way, so we got a fair few upgrades. Seeming like we're committing into bio with actually a lot of Hellions still. But both players content to just build up their armies at this point. We got some extra Greens coming out to spread to creep, looking good from About Lib. And nothing too much to report. Considerable oversaturation on the mineral lines in the natural. Definitely would like to see a third command center, and we do see that almost about to float over now. So both players really going to take their thirds about the same time, which honestly is quite a good thing for the Terran player. Zerg almost always wants to be one base ahead in a ZVT scenario. So we're going to see the Terran player probably be in quite a good position, and we see that in the supplies really. I mean, a considerable supply lead for our Terran player, both in workers and in army. The Zerg content to stay on 38 workers, so a tough position to be in, especially at 952, and really with only 6 drone kills lost. Potentially an area for Battle to look into, but each to their own. Many upgrades. We have Corruptors on their way, we have Lurker range with +1 melee now, as well as +2 Carapace and air weapons as well. So playing very tech heavy. Gonna have all the answers, but maybe not gonna be able to pose any questions to the Terran player at this point either. They're looking pretty solid, lots of tanks, a few Vikings out there, and those Corruptors really not gonna do too much against well, 3 Vikings. So interesting choice to go into Corruptors, and both players really not aware of what the other is doing. A little bit of scouting, kind of blind compositions as we see, but this is Gold League, so we expect to see a little bit of this. There's a lot to do in StarCraft. Obviously, if you're a player, you realize it's not an easy game, so many things to worry about. Now, considerable upgrades on the side here, so Battlelib going to have a real upgrade advantage, but perhaps not going to be able to put it to use with such a small army. Concussive Cells is finishing up, and here we finally see our Terran player moving across the map. The army supply is very heavily in favour of the Terran, so this is probably going to be a very difficult hold for the Zerg. There are Lurkers, which obviously very tough to deal with, but there are enough tanks that this shouldn't really cause an issue, and no Vipers to really cause those tanks any grief. Obviously the Terran has to find a good position, and here we see the Zerg armies coming forward, burrowing a wee way back. Fully upgraded Lurkers, a tough thing to deal with, but as we see these tanks just really making it hard. We don't have any detection with the army here. Obviously there are orbital commands for scans, but no Banshee to really scout for any tumors or buried Lurkers. Corruptor's trying to get things done, but with so many Marines, it's not going to happen for them. So, Sansego sitting in the middle of the map, just waiting to see what the Zerg player will do, and he decides take a bit of an expedition on to creep. Maybe going to clear some of the map that up. But with Battlelib's composition, he's not really in a position to force the issue. He's just kind of waiting for the Terran to push into him. With Lurkers, yes, they do have the fast burrow, but trying to run into an army such as this and bury is just going to be a tough time for him. So really, this is all coming down to that worker lead and then subsequent army lead that Battlelib's going to have a tough time defending if Sansego decides to push the issue. Of course. Now, Sansego is maxed out with his bank well building up. Still really going hard on those upgrades. So Battlelib really prioritizing having a strong army, not necessarily a large army. And we'll see how well that works out for him soon. we've got about, well, I can't count, we'll check this way. And the engagement is happening. Lurk is trying to push in and getting absolutely mauled by the tanks and the bio. There are glass cannons, hydralisks, nice DPS, but not very durable, shall we say. And now we do have the Raven coming across, so it looks like Sansego was just waiting for that Raven so he could clear out the creep and spot those lurkers as they were buried. And the bio is going to engage and going to have a pretty good time. Interesting choice for a battle up to continue to commit to those corruptors, being that there are so few air units and really inconsequential air units, you could almost say. He did manage to take down the Raven by the looks of it, but Sansego's decided that enough is enough. He's going to push forward anyway. There are Broodlords on the way, so maybe this was his master plan. Now, Broodlord's obviously quite dangerous, but with the numbers of bio and everything that we see, I don't know how well it's going to work for him. Now this natural Zerg is going to go down, with not really much for the Zerg to say about it. Olympus being sieged up, tanks being left behind. So potentially the Broodlords could have come and picked them off, but oh, here we go. So deciding to push in on the tanks now. Hydra's getting mauled. Lurkers do manage to bury, and Broodlord's going to take those tanks out, and maybe we see the bio come across to defend. Looks like no. So a nice little victory there for our Battle to pick off those tanks, causing him a little bit of grief. Meanwhile, Sansego's deciding, right, it's time to go up the ramp into the main. Time has come, and obviously with the Zerg, this is where all the tech structures are, and there's not going to be much defense here. Broodlord's obviously quite strong, but not very fast, so by the time they get here, the main is really going to be not in a great position, though. Sansego has decided he will engage the Broods. With this many Marines and this much bio, it's probably going to go alright for him if he decides to target down. A few Hydras underneath, but with no medivacs, this army is kind of on a clock as well. We see that they're already down, a lot of them down to half health, and every time they stim, going to lose a bit of health. So the longer, well, there we go, the hive's taken out, massive tech structures being taken in, and we do have a medevac now arriving. So really great position for Sansego at this point. Obviously supplies are the telling tale. A few air units trying to make their way across the air armies, but not going to do so successfully. However, with this much tech down, it's going to be tricky. I'm going to assume this is a mule to repair, not a BM mule. And this is really Sansego's game to take home at this point. Yes, his army did get taken out, and he's still actually rallying things across the map. Perhaps not the smartest choice there, but the follow-up is almost certainly going to be devastating. We are onto one base for our Zerg player, and with 18 workers, it's going to be a tough road to recovery. You know, all the tech structures taken out, back to the ground zero. We do have a lair, so he did start up the lib, which is a smart choice. And about a lib, getting a spawning pool as well. So managing to get back into Spire, but with one fully functioning base and a second on the way, this is going to be tough, considering the Terran is now on their way to take the 5th. 82 workers for the Terran, so good to see that Sansego's macroing behind this. Transitioning a bit more into a air army here, seeing it doesn't want to deal with those Broods, taking some Vikings to deal with them, and that's going to be quite effective, as well as the Thors. Thors, despite being ground units, do trade very well against Broodlords since a patch earlier, end of last year I believe it was. So massive worker lead and considerable army lead as well. Now here we comes the push, probably I would say the game ending push, though there isn't I mean, isn't a whole lot of ground. We do see a lot of Widow Mines now, actually. So, not a huge base killing army from Sansego, but it should be enough to really take this game. If you land the Vikings exactly like that, these Broodlords making their way over to defend. Mine's gonna wreck the Corruptors. Ooh, some good mine shots there. Broodlords trying to do what they can, but trading even against these Marines is gonna have a tough time. And with the Vikings lifted, this is the end of the Broodlord army. And the army in general, and GG is called. Well played game by these two. So first game goes to Team GdA. Congratulations to Sansego for his win there. Alright. Let's have a look through chat, see what we see. Did lowering the music volume help? Was that better levels after that? If anyone could let me know, that would be great. So really, the loss for the Zerg player there, a little bit tough. But really, his commitment to gas and lack of minerals and therefore drones really a tough situation to be in, especially as a Zerg you want to be a base ahead, and he just wasn't able to keep that up. As mentioning before, StarCraft a very tough game, so lots to keep track of, very hard to make everything happen all at once, and yeah, well played from both of them. Good to see good manners and a GG from there. So right. So, coming into game 2, loading that up. Now I haven't managed to get the scores up yet. I will work on that as best as I can. Of course, we're on a stream delay, so by the time I read your messages I have no idea what you're talking about, but that makes a lot more sense now. Yes, much better. Levels good. I need to invest in a new microphone, so apologies if there are some issues with that. As you can see, my headset is sellotaped together, very old, and everything's broken. But I'll work on getting a new one in the near future. Hopefully Black Friday sales, right? Something like that. So players are just about to get started. We've got everyone in the lobbies, and we have begun the countdown. So coming in, we have Team GdA up 1-0 against Team GreenBird. Just loading in now, and we'll bring you to the game screen. And we are in. On Oxide, I think it is, we have the orange orange Zerg, I should say, representing Team GreenBird. He is Jeremy. And in the top right, representing Team GdA, the Red Terran, he is Sansego, coming off the heels of his victorious game in Eternal Empire. So we will see what the Zerg decides to do this game. The ZVT for our man Sansego. His pretty strong showing last time, solid macro, keeping it up. Now, Jeremy already decided to go for a different build this game, straight into a hatch. And it's a bit more traditional opening, I guess we would say, from our Zerg player. Deciding to keep that Overlord at home, perhaps, wary of any bunker rushes or proxy raxes. But nothing like that this game, no shenanigans just as of yet. There's Overlord obviously hitting across the map, but not going to see too much as yet. Now, pretty standard openings. Oxide, a bit more again of a larger map, likely to be a little bit longer, not often too many rushes on this game. Bases tend to be fairly okayish to hold, but the distance between the third and fourth is often a point of pressure to be pointed out, especially when you're likely to see the Terran push across the map first, as traditional in ZVT. Obviously, at this point, we don't have any idea what it's going to be. Now, another command center on the high ground, so kind of a safe command center, but a little bit slower to get into action. Have to float it down. Reaper heading across the map, and yeah, going to see some pretty normal stuff. We got speed happening now. Jeremy has decided to stay in gas, so potentially going to be seeing some Banes or some early tech coming on. Often quite common for Zergs to pull out of gas once getting speed. Perhaps could just be Overlord speed as well, but we will see where he decides to go with that. With the Lings on creep, they do okay against the Reaper, but off creep, it's notified that those Lings are going to win until speed is finished. Now, Sansego not really seeing too much. I mean, he can see the second hatch goes down, and that's really enough. That's what you want to see at this point as the Terran. That was scouted obviously by the earlier SCV. So, looks like we're going to be getting some reactor Hellions. We'll see if it's for defense or for aggression, but tech load coming down now on the barracks. And no starport or second barracks as of yet. So just waiting to see which way Sansego's going to go. A couple of Hellions coming down now. Yeah. Meanwhile, for our Zerg player, we have a Spine Caller, so playing quite defensively, but also a third base well on the way as well, also, which is a little bit more what we would expect to see in this matchup. Overlord coming in to see what it can see. It's going to see a starport on the way, and reactor Hellions. This is nothing unusual. Quite early Marauders, but nothing being researched on the tech lab as of yet. And Overlord goes down. Gets a pretty good scout. It's not too much to see at this point, but not seeing any crazy, factory or barracks count. 1-1-1. Nice, solid opening for the Terran. 6 Lings now finally on the way, so Ling count starting to build up here a little bit. I mean, he did scout the Hellions, so it's a fair choice, a fair call. You want to have some defense when they head across the map. There's always a high potential for aggression for those to come across and try and dive into the middle line. Reaper going to see what he can see, and well, turns out that is not much at all. Going to get shut down by the Lings and the Queen. So good defense getting the scouting there. Good denial of scouting. Worker count slightly in favor of the Zerg player, but nothing unmanageable. Still a pretty even game at this stage. Sansego just content to stay on the side of the map, so not really putting any on any aggression as of yet. We've seen Armory coming down, so perhaps these guys are going to be turning into Hellbats, and we're seeing a bit of a Hellbat timing, which will be tricky to defend if there are no Banelings, but there are 2. Probably not enough for this many Hellions, or probably Hellbats. Trying to get a scout there, but again, scouting denied, so good to see efforts made by both players to scout. Not so successful efforts, but Jeremy is going to see this move out which is quite important for him. We'll see what he decides to do, or if he actually did spot it. I mean, there was an overlord there, and he's got good overlords across the map, so he can see this army coming on his mini-map. No reaction as of yet. I would definitely like to see a couple more banelings against this. Hellbats just wreck the Zerglings, so it's going to be a tough hold here, especially with these Marauders. This is a nice mix in to take down the Queens. And we do have concussive shells as well, so this is a tough push to hold. And as you can see, ooh, a lot of lings, but see, immediately cleaned up by those Hellbats. Now, this is going to be a tough situation for the Zerg. Sansego, really nice push there. It's a hard timing to defend, so a good job from him to get that out. The Spine Crawler going to do a bit of work, but with all these Marauders, they're so strong against those chunkier units, and the Hellbats do a great job against the more soft Zerglings. So this hatchery definitely in jeopardy. Rallying the lings in like this, oh, so here we go. Roaches now finally in defense. They do suffer against the Marauders, but there is only one of those left now. So probably going to be able to clean this up actually with not too many losses. So in all, a good defense from Jeremy. Couple of Hellions attempting to do some work at the third base, but actually not going to find too much. 10 workers did go down in the end, putting Sansego ahead by 7 workers. So a successful push, but not a bad defense. And all from Jeremy. It's a tough push to hold. The idea is generally the way to defend that would be to get your lings wrapped around, so getting them behind onto the Marauders, and get enough Banes that you take down the Hellbats at the front. That would be your attempted defense there, and also get the Queens on any remaining Hellbats. But not so easy to execute, especially when the units all clump up. At the end, just not quite a high enough Bane count. Still only on 1 gas for our Zerg player, so hasn't quite exploded into the gas count just yet, but a good, healthy mineral income we see. Really, 4th base on the way. So this is often a mistake that Zerg players tend to make, is investing too much into gas too early. But Jeremy seems to be quite aware of that and is on top of it. More Hellbats back at home. Factories on the way. So looking this game like we might see a bit more mech. And saying that, still quite a few barracks seeing. So a bit of a bio-mech mix. These Roaches going to see what they can get done. And it could be a little bit actually. The Hellbat's not really so great against Roaches. A couple more Marauders would be good to defend this, but Sansego going to have a tough time really. Excuse me, these medevacs doing work, going to clean it up after all. The Roaches aren't the worst thing to be throwing away as far as supply efficiency. The worse the game goes on, the worse they kind of get. But at the same time, throwing them away for not too much is perhaps he was hoping to get a bit more done there. As we've talked about before, the gases were taken finally, but no drones going into them. A lot of perhaps early gases. Now we do see this Liberator really doing some work, killing an extra, I think 7 drones it must have been, and a lot of lava. 14 lava by the looks of it will get taken down. So nice lib from Sansego. He's going to send another one in, and he will see what he can get done there. Third base on the way for Sansego. Roach Warren, Lair, so all pretty standard stuff. Just some interesting choices about dropping the gases but not actually putting drones in. I mean, the worker count is a little bit less than what he'd be hoping for at this stage, he or she. So, actually, Jeremy, we can probably assume. Now, 7 workers suddenly ahead, so really deciding to prioritize workers a bit more there. Which is a good choice because, well, there's not really an army on the way just yet. Lib contented to stay to the side. So fourth base is going to be saturated. Still 2 empty gases at the third. But they will get used in time, I'm sure. Finding some upgrades for our Zerg player to ranged and sorry, melee and carapace on the way, as well as a spire. So potentially going to be going into that Ling Bane Muta style, very strong in TVT. Sorry, ZVT. Goodness, it's far too early in the morning for me, by the way. So yeah, quite a strong composition, but the mutas do have to be controlled quite well. If left alone for a second, they can do some. They can be slaughtered if they're caught by some marines or a couple of widow mines. And Sansego is actually looking pretty prepared for that. Really, throwing down these 2 widow mines is enough to do some serious damage if the mutas just happen to swing across. He's not actually aware of the spire though, so he hasn't seen the spire come down. He's seen the lair, so it's not a bad assumption to have that you're going to be seeing mutas. Jeremy has really gone hard on his economy recently, so 78 workers now, 5th base coming down. So this is more the position that a Zerg would feel comfortable in. 2 drones, again, really early gases before the hatcheries even finished being made, but those will be taken. I mean, it will be taken, Mr. Drone. Mr. Drone, take your gas. Mr. Drone's not taking his gas. Scanning in the main, we'll actually now see that that spire is well finished and researching. We'll see these Evo chambers researching. Sansego fairly late on upgrades himself. Yeah, we expect, there we go. So upgrades quite late. Still no upgrades. It's 13 minutes, and neither player has finished theirs. But we do see a push coming across the map now for Sansego. This is a fairly it could go either way. At this point, it really depends on how the Banes and things work out. We see a strong muta count, lots of lings, and they're going to do well against the tanks. So going to be looks like a pretty good cleanup really for the Zerg player. Very clumped up. Banes have a fun time against that, and suddenly this is looking like a dicey position for Sansego. Big Zerg swarm on his side of the map. Jeremy will be continuing with that. Some roaches mixed in, interesting choice there, and these mines, gonna be some big hits I would say, but not enough to slow down the swarm. And there's a hole in the wall. Uh-oh. Bane's gonna hit up the ramp and find some marauders. Not too much, but this is a tough situation for Sansego. Nothing to defend. These lings really ravaging the base. Yeah, so just an unfortunate clumping and caught by surprise there. Those tanks weren't sieged up and really caught at the bottom of a ramp as well. So GG is called by Sansego. A solid effort, just an unfortunate engagement there. So that brings us to a 1-all tie. Team GreenBirds taking that one. Jeremy, congratulations on the win there. Okay. Going back to here. Always good to have a bit of competition. Don't want to see a clean sweep. So we have 1-1 for each team, and we'll see if we can put it up on the screen now. Quite a strong showing from both players there. I think a bit more challenges for Sansego to overcome there. Certainly facing a much larger army. He did have a very good push, which was yeah, quite well defended. Perhaps a little bit late. Might have wanted to see that armory come down a little bit earlier, because we really want to put, as a Terran player, really wants to put the aggression on to stop the Zerg from being able to do what they want. And we saw the Zerg really just get the chance to power up into that full swarm that we saw, and especially the Terran being caught off guard in the middle of the map, tanks not sieged, at the bottom of a ramp. Suddenly the Zerg just swarms down, gets surrounded, and that's that. It's not a great situation for you to be caught in as a Terran player. So really, some head scouting can be good for that. Finding a different way across the map, perhaps, so you don't get caught at the bottom. But in the end, very well played by Jeremy. He saw the opportunity and took it, as every player must. Let's quickly check that graphic in. So a nice tie at this point. We are coming into game number 3. Countdown has begun, and we have Fazy representing Team GdA. Let's come into the game. And here we have it. In Submarine, representing Team GreenBirds, we have Jeremy. And this is why you center your camera before you zoom in. And in the top left, representing Team GdA, we have Fazy. A ZVZ on Submarine. This is likely to be fairly quick. The shortest rush distance in the map pool. Very easy for Zerglings to be on one side of the map in a flash. We do see a very early hatch from Jeremy. So 14 hatch. As well as early gas. So, interesting what we're going to see here. No spawning pool as of yet, but likely to see that come down as we see he's banking up now. Whereas on Fazy's side, we have a pool first, so neither player really wanting to be caught out. Here, some slightly different, unusual builds. Going to have a much earlier hatchery here at the cost of lava. So often in these early games, it's all about lava efficiency, making sure that all that lava you have to use as soon as you can, and don't let any of it go to waste. ZVZ, very much the explosive matchup, and sneaking, having just a couple of extra lings in the opponent's base can really make the difference. See, lings already out of Fazy, so not wasting any time. Likely to see some ling speed when that's done. Meanwhile, probably going to get ling speed, and there we go for Jeremy. So his is going to be quite far ahead of Fazy's, but Fazy's lings will be arriving on Jeremy's side of the map first. He's going to have his lings up in defense. So, looking probably a bit of a stronger position here for Jeremy as far as his army count and his Zerglings go. But Fazy's really happy to drone up for now. Often we say the best defense is a good offense. So I think Fazy's hoping that if he can get some Zerglings on his opponent's side of the map, that he doesn't have to worry so much about defending, and that he can drone up a bit behind that. But he's realizing now, after seeing all these lings, that time to drone up, time to ling up. and we see that here. So also a spine crawl on the way. A lot of lings on the way for Jeremy. A few drones even in defense. Now this is going to be a tough hold. The key is going to be letting that spine get up. So wanting to see Fazy just distracting those lings, making them run around. Don't let them attack because they're far outnumbered. As we see now, that queen will go down, gets completely surrounded. Second queen pops, also going to get pretty much surrounded. The spine crawler, oh, and ling his speed has just finished now as well. The spine crawler is going to get taken down just before it finishes, so that's a rough time. And unfortunately, Fazy is in a bad position, calls GG and taps out. So perhaps misreading this situation slightly, but Submarine is a tough game, a tough map, and ZPZ is a tough matchup. Can be very hard to know what's happening until it's right on top of you. So that brings GreenBirds to 2-1. Congratulations, Jeremy, for that second win there. See if we can edit this. Apparently I cannot. So that is that. It's going to be 1-1. No, I will fix that shortly. Let's head out. Alright. We are currently, despite what the screen says, in a 2-1 situation for the GreenBirds. They're ahead by 1 game. Jeremy has won 2 of his games. A strong showing by the Zerg player. Fazy unable to take it home. That type gonna get knocked out now. Oh, this is just, in case you didn't realize, quite new to the streaming thing. Thank you very much for tuning in. As you can probably tell, I'm still learning my way around the ropes a little bit, but it is really good to see so many people watching and joining in. So thanks all for coming. We are coming into game 4 now on Lightshade. So players joining in the lobby. Gonna get that started up now. Fazy's back. Interesting. Looks like we have a rematch. Jeremy versus Fazy. Interesting. Alright. Coming into that game now. We are loading up. Let's see. So, we are on Lightshade now. Trying to keep that crown. Stay on another game. We have, representing Team GreenBirds, the Orange Zerg, Jeremy. Isn't that a cute green bird? Nice parrot. And in the bottom left, representing Team GdA, we have Fazy. Trying to find that revenge. Jeremy looking like he's going for a very similar build as to last game. You know, they say if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now, we'll see how Fazy decides to respond to this one. Going for that earlier spawning pool again. So the 16, I think it was 16 pool. Perhaps the key for him this time is going to gas perhaps a little bit sooner. and get a few more lings just scouting to see what's going on the other side of the base. It is quite confusing when you see that hatch up early and you think, oh, I'm safe, right? He's going into economy, he's droning up. But really, Jeremy is using that extra hatchery for the lava, as we were talking about before. Often we think about the two resources in StarCraft being our minerals and our gas. And a very another important resource for Zerg players is their lava. So it's very important for them to be able to manage it correctly. It spawns, one lava spawns every 3 seconds, but up to a maximum of 3. And you've got to choose as well. Another choice that the Terran players and Protoss players don't have to make is, will I build army, or will I build drones? Will I build up my economy? And doing too much of one and not enough of the other, well, can lead you to a victory, but also lead to a complete demise. And in ZVZ, you have to kind of match what your opponent's doing. So if they're putting a lot into their army, then you need to match that and put a bit into your army as well, and kind of rely on your defender's advantage to give you that edge. So scouting, quite important, and Fazy going to see that Jeremy is gone. Now, if he's looking closely, he'll see when the lava pops, when it finishes, that lings are coming out. And Fazy is going to send that ling in and actually spot those lings of his opponents. So Jeremy, once again, sending all these lings across the map. Fazy looking a little bit more ready this time. A few more lings on his side of the map as well. That spine's coming down, but it's not going to be ready. It might be good to see that go a bit further back, be a bit more defendable, as it is completely surroundable at this point. Fazy's initial lings going to defend alright. This queen here is really going to help as well. Would perhaps like to see that in a corner somewhere, so it can't get surrounded so easily. But a good start for Fazy. Speed is done for Jeremy, and is 3/4 of the way done for Fazy. But so far, much stronger defense for Fazy, and this is going to pay off dividends for him, because as you see now, he's far ahead in the workers. He's going straight for two Evo chambers, potentially as part of a wall, but he doesn't have the gas to support too much right now. Would perhaps like to see as well Fazy make a slightly stronger wall, so only have a tiny little gap that only one ling at a time can fit through. But this is certainly going to be better than nothing. Only one small gap here and a gap here as well. So some good defense. Now Jeremy is committing to this aggression. He hasn't built a worker since the 14th one. And with the spine finished, this is a tough scenario still, because all of those lings get taken down. Lings of speed are very vicious. Roach Warren still not finished, and going to get taken down. This is almost a good thing though. Jeremy not sending those lings into the mineral line yet, so quickly Fazy can try build up some defense. It is going to be tough though. We have 32 lings against 12. This is a nice position, so taking away that advantage, but it's not going to last forever. Fazy will, unfortunately, find himself with Zerglings in his mineral line in a very short amount of time. Just not enough lava. Plenty of, quite a few minerals there, but just not enough lava to spend. And here we see the drones really starting to fall, and this is a sad moment to watch as a Zerg player when you see Zerglings in your mineral line. Game is called, and that brings the score to 3-1 for the GreenBirds. Jeremy sticking to his build. That initial push not quite working, but managing to take it home in the end. Unfortunately there for Fazy, that wall just wasn't quite strong enough. A bit too many open spaces for the lings to slip through and really get the surrounds on. worked out how to edit that. Goodness me. Okay. So GreenBirds up 3-1. Just trying to sort out the next lobby, so we'll be back with you as soon as we can.
first map.
Alright, we are coming back in. Thanks for your patience, just had to wait for a PC reset, a couple of technical issues. So, lobby has been created, we'll be on a golden wall. Interesting map choice. Alright. Looks like both players are ready. So we'll be loading in just a short moment. Again, thank you for your patience while we had to sort out these moments. It happens. Right. So we are loaded in. Or loading in, should I say? Let's get that music to stop. And here we have it. Our match on Golden Wall. Just to recap, the GreenBirds are up 3-1 against Team GdA. So Scarlet looking to take a little bit of the lead back, should we say, or recover some dignity for Team GdA. But of course in the bottom left we have, so far, winning 2 matches for the GreenBirds, Jeremy. I do like that green parrot very much. And in the right, representing Team GdA, the red Protoss, we have Scarlet, UK. Let's get some music. Right, so Jeremy not going for the same build this game, banking up his minerals considerably. Maybe a proxy hatch? Oh, he is cheeky, this one. Alright, so Jeremy going for the proxy hatch in the opponent's natural. This is quite a build. Now, he's also getting his gases, well, gas, so probably going to be getting speed as well, though not 100% sure what for. Now, Scarlet deciding to pull the probes, doesn't want to deal with this. This is a considerable takeoff from the economy, though. This is, what is it, 8, 9 probes, if I can count? 9 probes. but it will be enough to take this hatchery down to where it came from. Does not want to deal with the proxy hatch, does Scarlet. So, a cancel there. Scarlet needs to send. Yes, there we go. Those probes back to mining. Jeremy deciding, nope, I'm sticking with this idea. We are instead going to proxy hatch at the 3rd, which is potentially, well, a very different scenario, because he will have to be pushing up the ramp into the natural and most likely a wall. So Scarlet going to be, I would say, in a pretty good position to defend this. Speed is on the way, pulled out of gas, so this has to go quite well for Jeremy, or he is in a tricky position, as we see the worker count is far in favour of the Protoss. So, not a complete wall here, going to need to see another pylon or something. Warp gate being researched. Jeremy will see everything though. Now we have a chrono on a empty gateway. Bit of a sad moment, but there we go. So an extra pylon coming down. Not perhaps the bestest wall we've ever seen, but it is good to get another pylon down. Otherwise there's what we call the Artosis pylon. One pylon powering far too many buildings, and quite exposed to a lot of surface area on that for Lings to take advantage of. Now, Adept is a really good defense against these Zerglings. And we do see Scarlet going for that that pylon, but fortunately there is a second one down, so it's going to be safe. They are going to come in now. We definitely would like to see perhaps another gateway or something here to block this up, but the Adept will clean up. Now, it'll be interesting to see what Jeremy decides to do from here. So far it is more Lings, and these Lings will have speed too. Not going to be able to get that pylon there without mineral walking. Definitely want to be seeing, this gateway is unpowered, which is not ideal, but we do have a second Adept on the way, and Adepts are really strong against these Lings, especially with Warp Gate coming in. This is a tough position but for Jeremy, but nice defense from Scarlet. Congratulations so far, but this game is not over. We do see Scarlet is not committing any more resources into workers either, and there is no second Nexus on the way. So this is not all up downhill from here for Scarlet. There is still a lot of work to be done, but these Lings will not be getting in. With 3 Adepts on defense, it's just not going to happen. And another 2 being warped in. Warp Gate are very handy one to have. Now we do see a gateway and a pylon on the other side of the map, so this is where Scarlet will have their chance to really put pressure back onto the Zerg player, especially with Warp Gate being researched. This gateway here, if you don't know, is for the faster warp-ins. If it's just a pylon, yes, army can warp in across the other side of the map, but it is quite slow to do so. With this gateway, we do see much faster warp-ins, as you see here. And these Adepts now are gonna really wreak havoc. Yes, there are a few, but this four Adepts will actually take care of this quite straightforward. The Shade is going to be cancelled, so conservative approach, which is good to see. Actually going to be recalling home. Interesting choice there. Not quite sure about that one, but no, that's alright. Now, very good position for Scarlet. Up in workers, up in supply, and that supply is very efficient against the Lings. There is no tech for Jeremy behind this, and we do see a drone starting. So a couple of interesting place to build the drone on the side of the map, but this is going to be an uphill battle for Jeremy, but a very solid defense from Scarlet. So defense does pay off. It was a risky opening. It doesn't pay off in the end. Gateway and pylon does get scattered, so no more warp-ins across the map, but a lot of Adepts, and this is going to be, well, might I say it, almost impossible to hold for the Zerg. It is a lot of Adepts, and they really just do clean up Lings so fast. 2 hits, and goodbye Lings. And we see that here in action. So really, Scarlet's going to come into this mineral line, and if there was any income before, there won't be in about 10 seconds. If not less. And then we see that. So, solid effort from Jeremy, trying his fast builds, and you can't blame him. He is, I believe, a little bit under the league of of the Protoss players, so generally you want to try have a fast game, but not successful this time. Good defense from Scarlet, and that is game. So congratulations to Scarlet, bringing the score back a little bit. So we have 3-2. So GreenBirds still ahead, but just by 1. So, good games from both of them there, good manners, good showing from Jeremy, he did very well. I think it was three players he beat, maybe 2. And eventually taken down by Scarlet there, but in his defense, not exactly an even ranking there, so he did very well to get as far as he did. Now, our next match will be coming up soon. Players are in the party, so the lobby will be on its way soon. We'll go on a quick break for a couple of minutes, and I will bring you the game when it is ready. And we are back in, loading into game 6, I believe it is, with the GreenBirds up by 1 point, 3-2 lead over Team GdA. So, spawning in the top right, representing Team GdA, we have Scarlet UK. Is our blue Protoss. Gotta learn to center these things, huh? Like so. And in the bottom left, representing Team GreenBirds, the orange Zerg, the Cell. Every time, that parrot. Okay. So, another ZVP for Scarlet. Let's see what they decide to do. We've got standard wall off, or the beginnings of a wall off at the natural. No ramp to defend this time, so a little bit tougher. But yeah, certainly the wall helps and makes that quite tough to attack into, especially with shield batteries and whatnot. From the Cell, pretty normal opening here. We have, I think, a 16 hatch, and 18 gas, 17 pool, almost certainly, and there it is. Scarlet coming into chat to scout there, making sure there's no funny business going on. Sees indeed there is no funny business. And, well, looks like it's going to be going out, just patrolling outside the base to potentially look to see if any lings, or I would say a third base drone comes out. Nexus going up before the cybernetics call. Normal stuff. Slight gap in probe production here. Back on it now, so we'll see how that starts to affect things, but so far all pretty normal and standard. So this map, if you weren't aware, is got these 2 big speed zones in the middle. We've got some rocks that need to be broken down, but generally, certainly in the early game, you'll see the attack path coming down across through these speed zones, and while they're not close to the base, they can still have some pretty impactful differences. Now both players are using melee units. For example, Zealots and Zerglings benefit a lot more from the speed zones because they can reach their opponents. They can cover that distance a bit faster. we do see third base go down there in the end, despite the probe's resistance. So third base going down for the cell. Pretty standard timing, perhaps a little bit earlier than normal, but all stock, standard stuff really. Robo coming down as the tick of choice for Scarlet. Now with GreenBirds, sorry, with the cells, Overlord here, definitely going to see that. But doesn't see the Twilight Council. With Warp Gate on the way, this could certainly be a Glaive Adept opening. Very strong, difficult defended against a Zerg. And Control Shift 9. Best of 9. Wonderful. So thank you. And Adept trying to make its way across the map, see what it can see. Is going to get taken out by those lings. Perhaps a slightly more adventurous Shade could have gotten further away and saved the life, but not today. These lings will stop that. Now, so far, change player place. Control X. Oh, I should do that. Interesting. GreenBird Jeremy. Now we have a Warp Prism on the way. Glaives being researched. I didn't even need to look there to know what it was. 3 gateways coming down, so we will be seeing that Adept timing coming out. Now, so he sees the Adept swap in. If he was on looking at the right time, the cell does know this is coming, and certainly could suspect it. Now the challenge is there is no Roach Warren, and there is no Banelings. This is a tough defense with just Zerglings. It's not even started. So I think this might come as a bit of a surprise to the cell, and we'll see how they manage to defend against this. Do have 2 queens, but quite exposed off creep here. Extra warping coming in, so hitting before 5 minutes, this is tough. We have Spine Crawlers starting up, Evo Chamber probably to block, but no Roach Warren or tech beyond this. So as we can see, these Zerglings just get cleaned up. More Warpins coming. Adepts shading into the main base, forcing those drones back. Generally, we expect to see a few lost drones here. These Adepts don't usually do nothing, but they are causing a lot of lost mining time. We see drones transferring, we see drones at the third. Spines are good to see as the cell. If you're the cell, you want to be seeing that. And so good surrounds happening here on the Adepts being picked off, but Scarlet is not done. And good scout out there from the cell, seeing them, so gonna actually decide to recall back. So overall, actually good defense, all things considering. Scarlet not quite able to get done what they would have hoped. An unfortunate Evo Chamber positioning here. Oh, this is interesting. Pick up that, get it. Oh, yep, there we go. Bit of a late pickup, but pick up nonetheless. Observer coming out. Ling's not going to get too much done against these Adepts, especially now they've got Glaives. So both players really not getting too much done, though a good defense from the cell. Adepts tough to hold off, especially with just Lings. So kudos to the cell for that defense. I was quite worried for him there. Third Nexus coming down. Worker lead definitely in favour now of the cell. Once you defend that Adept timing, the tendency is to just power into drones as you feel a bit more safe. But the cell, Scarlet is sending more across the map, not done. And well, we'll see what happens here. Those queens get picked off for free, and creep spread now being targeted with the Observer. So rough pick off there. 3 queens still around to inject if they so choose on these hatches. One being injected. More spines coming down. Roaches now are ready to defend. Well, there is a Roach Warren, yes, and Roaches too. So a slightly more standard defense, and to this Adepts. should fare a lot better. Reason being, Adepts do bonus damage against light units. Zerglings light, and Roaches are not. Good surround on these Adepts. They will take down the Zerglings. This Immortal doing some work against the Roaches, but yeah, come back to low down. Good picking up there. Good play from Scarlet with that Warp Prism micro. Warping in more right on the battle lines. A lot of Roaches here though, so Adepts not going to do well against them. Potentially Scarlet could be throwing the shades around, but due to the spine crawler defenses, that does make it quite tough. Decides to just hammer ahead, and the Cell really could take this fight and do just fine. And decides to do that indeed. Stalker's now warping in. Slightly better choice, but not going to be enough against these Roaches. Time to get out of there. Tail between his legs. Scarlet is returning. And we see that supply leads now building for the Zerg player. The work count is slightly more even, so nice macro from Scarlet behind all of that, really getting back into the probe building. With all of these Roaches being built, they don't scale too well into the late game, so it is quite common to see the Zerg player push across the map, and with this morphing of Ravagers, well, it seems even more likely. But so far, staying at home. Creep spread a little bit lacking, actually. Got some queens on full energy, some bases not injected, so perhaps a little bit of a missed opportunity there for the Zerg player. Zerglings looking, scouting, maybe getting a little bit of shields off the gateway. Actually, researching melee weapons is the Zerg player, so interesting choice there. We'll have to see what they go for, because no Baning list is up, I believe. No Banes, and yeah. Curious choice. We'll have to see. Weapons level 2 has started, and Colossi are on the way for Scarlet. So Scarlet's really powering into this game, getting that that strong Protoss army, a couple of sentries mixed in, whatnot. I am surprised by the melee researching, considering there are, well, very little to no melee units for the cell, but each to their own. We do see Carapace being started as well. 7 Zealots on the way. No Zealot charge though, so interesting choices there. Thermal Lance and armor, ground armor for Protoss as well. Now, I was a little bit worried about Scarlet's position, but I do think that they are going to be in a pretty good position, especially at the top of ramp. Immortals do very well against the Roaches, so perhaps the Colossi are not totally necessary as a choice. Look, here we go. So we've engaged a lot of Adepts in here, and slow Zealots. So really, this army is not as strong as it could be, but nice force fields there. As we see, Ravagers can kill those force fields, but they do take a while to land. So tough position here for Scarlet. See how they choose to defend. Behind this, we've got Hydras on the way. No upgrades for them. So unupgraded Hydras, not so great, but this cleanup is going to be just fine from Scarlet. Good defense, pushing up the ramp, very tough. Some really good force fields, and yeah, well played by Scarlet there. The Cell going to scamper back home with his very slow Hydras. Got to get some upgrades for them before you send them out. Lurkers on the way, so this must be the end goal here. Not really. These Hydras are just there to turn into Lurkers. Bane's on the way, so that melee does start to make a little bit more sense now. Meanwhile, Protoss pushing across the map, deciding that it is their time to move. Still a lot of Adepts mixed in here, but they do go alright against Hydras, as Hydras have light armor. So, army caught a little bit out of position there. This Warp Prism going to get picked off. Nice catch by the Cell. Looking for the surround as the Cell. So this is a key aspect of Zerg playing, get that surround, and he's going for it. But looks like the Scarlet might actually have enough. The surround came in a bit too late. The flank just not getting there in time, and suddenly the Cell looking in a rough position here. Some good push from Scarlet, nice defense, followed up by the counter, and suddenly Zerg is down a base. It's 3 bases against 4. 4th base not finished yet for the Zerg player, so not a great place for the Zerg. Good push from Scarlet pushing in. Probably can get more done, but not quite time to get out just yet, but this army probably won't be able to finish unless it gets reinforced. Meanwhile, nice Zergling counterattack. A few probes going down on the other side, but a Weapon of Adept's going to stop that. And GG is called by the Cell. And that is that. Well played, Scarlet. So bringing the overall score to 3-all. 3 to Team GdA, and so we are in a tie. Let's bring you back to that screen. And edit the text. And here we go. Right. So, well, players load up. We might just take a short break and we'll see you soon. And we are loading into Everdream. So seeing a lot of these older maps. And here we go. In the bottom left, representing Team GdA, we have Scarlet. And in the top right, the red Zerg representing the GreenBirds. They are Barcode. Alright. Let's sort out the scores. Excellent. Alright, 3-3. So, standard opening here, 17 hatch, so taking it a bit risky, but deciding that the pro block is not going to happen. So, standard there, 17, and meanwhile, Scarlet, not going to be so standard, putting 2 gateways across the other side of the map. Cheeky move there, making the probe come from the front, making it seem like there's nothing suspicious going on. Barcode, not suspecting anything, going to scout around for some cannons, but not going to find any such thing. Instead, we're going to be seeing probably a couple zealots. Barcode completely unawares as to what is going on right now. So, chance for Scarlet to change things up a little bit, play a bit more of an aggressive game. And we can see by the count here, this is very much an all-in. This has to do damage, and has to really knock the Zerg into the ground, pretty much end them. Chronoing both these Zealots out, and gonna hit before any Lings have even started, really. So we got 2 Lings, not even 4. Oh, this is gonna be tough. Now, this is the moment Barcode sees, and shits their pants a little bit. The defense is going to be no spine so far, despite, well, there's not, excuse me, there is not enough minerals to go even close for that. This is getting a nice surround on the Zealot there, good surround. So Scarlet getting surrounded, not the best thing to be, and again, ooh, so losing those first 3 Zealots for not much, and now that Queens are out, this is going to be significantly harder. A few workers do go down there, so not nothing, but Scarlet's going to need to find more damage for this to really actually be worth it, because there is no tech down behind this, there is no cyber core. A couple of gases coming down now, but this was definitely supposed to do more. Probe getting picked off there as well. So not a bad idea to go for this natural hatchery, but the Queens will probably be able to scare them away, especially with all those Lings as well. A lot of Ling production going on here. Speed as well, so finally drones being started again now. But that's actually given Scarlet a bit of a chance to catch up. Not that Scarlet has decided to go back into worker production. Oh, yes, there we go. There, thank you. So, surrounded, but in a group. But still surrounded and likely to make an early fate. Nice defense there from Barcode. Losing 4 drones overall, but the price was very little, and suddenly Lings coming across the map. I don't think Scarlet's aware there's no wall, and they are going to find a completely defenseless space. This is likely to be the end for Scarlet, unfortunately, as we see these Lings in the middle line, and GG is called immediately. Scarlet not wanting to play the long game there. Unfortunately for them, score going the other way than perhaps they were after. Well played by Barcode, good defense in the end, getting the surround on the Zealots. Oops, here we go. So that brings 1 more point to the GreenBirds. Fighting back a little bit, it was 3-1, 3-3 evened out, and back to 3-4 if we can edit that.
player, and of course you will play Zerg. And once you have entered a player name and connected them to a race, once you enter in the next time, it will automatically select the last used race of this player. As you can see here, we can also add other players.
And we are loading in. We are back into the Clan War, Decima TeamLeague, I believe it is. Team GdA against the GreenBirds. Welcome back. In the top left, representing Team GdA, we have the blue Terran Xyxer. And in the bottom right, his red Zerg opponent, representing Team GreenBirds, Barcode. ZVT, the classic matchup. Sorry to all you Protoss players out there, but it just kind of is. From a very Zerg biased perspective, of course. So, again, both players happy to keep it pretty straightforward. Nothing too sneaky going on as of yet. Excuse me, just sort. There we go. Hatchery coming down, normal timings. Barracks on their side of the map. All pretty standard stuff. So we are on Romanticide here. A potentially tough map for Zerg players against Terran because there are many choke points we have leading up into the third. A ramp and choke here. We have leading up into the natural or the third, depending on which way you want to call it. Quite a tight spot, and very easy for the Terran to find a nice position to put a tank maybe behind the minerals or over the side of the minerals and just shell while the bio pushes forward. So we'll see how this goes and what build Xyxer decides to go for. Barcode is all looking pretty normal right now, and we'll be seeing a Reaper go across the map. So, walling off on the high ground as we expect. All good. Romanticide's still one of those newer maps, often vetoed, so we don't see it quite so much. But still very new, I think, in the map pool. People trying to figure out what's happened. When we get a GSL season on it, I think we'll start to know a bit more. Right. Queen's coming out, command center on location. Got a reactor coming down as well as factory, so likely to see some Hellions pop across the map. As is tradition. This Reaper going to try and find something, but, well, so far, just really getting off a scout. Looking for a drone, not going to find it. Now that the Queens are up, the Reaper has to go home. Or at least get out of there, because they're no match. Huh. Weird. Is that? There we go. That should make the sound a bit better. I think I had two outputs going from my mic. This should still be working. Hopefully it's loud enough. Just let me know in a minute and a half. Well, that's when I'll find out, because we are on stream delay, of course. So let me know if the mic is still okay, if it's better, if it's worse. It'd be really good to know. So, sending out a goodness me, Viking. There we go, from the starport. So looking at your standard 111, fusion core coming down. So it will be battle cruisers. Now, best way for Zerg players to be defending this is to have a lot of queens, and we don't see a third up yet. So no third is a little bit. Well, we should be seeing what the Zerg player has in mind. Roaches are coming out, but they are not going to be too effective against battle cruisers. However, if they're out fast enough, and there's only one battlecruiser. They can do enough damage. Problem is, Xyxer is scouting out these overlords, and if there is no vision, then there will be no Nidus. Now, fantastically for Xyxer, he has scouted both the Roachron and the Nidus, so he has a chance to get himself prepared. We see a Banshee coming out, also with Cloak even. So not actually going to get a battlecruiser. Going to get a faster response of a Banshee, which is not a bad idea. Here we do see the first Nidus Worm coming out, and it will be spotted, not even trying to hide. Probably going to get taken down, so not going to get a chance to do anything, but it is keeping the Banshee and also the Viking on the right side of that too. No chance for the Terran to push out when there is threat of the Nidus. Very even on workers. Third base now just coming down by the looks of it for the Zerg player, so very late, but that can be expected after a failed Nidus rush. Xyxer actually hidden workers now, so looking good for him. Want to be seeing a third command, and there we see it, just like that. It's like I've seen this game before. So third command coming down, not on location, probably a good choice too, not too far to float. We'll see if the fusion core actually, fusion core got cancelled, so there will be no battlecruisers. Full stop. Overlord waiting to potentially come back in later, but this Viking is ready for it. A couple of Hellions now making their way across the map, but yeah, good luck against roaches. You're not going to get a thing done. Not aware of the third base, so it would be good to scout to know that. He is going to check the fourth base location and not see anything there. We've got two Banshees coming in, and they do have Cloak. However, Spore Crawlers are up, so not gonna, well, we'll see how much he manages to get done. They do one-shot, the two of them will one-shot a drone, but there is two Queens already here in position, as well as the Spore, so two drones, and gonna have to back off. There are no Overseers though. Oh, I lie, there is an Overseer, I'm just blind. So, I'm gonna try and get some stuff done there, maybe pick off a Queen or two. Not even get a Queen. One health Queen. Oof. Feels bad as your Terran. A couple of Hellions waiting to see what they can get done. Another Nidus Worm attempt at the third base. This is going to be spotted immediately, in fact, by the command center, of all things. We'll see how Xyxer reacts. There is only one tank out. The second one, so three tanks out. Only one siege though. Raven is out. Nice auto turret. And where's the Overseer? How was that spotted? Interesting. So we do see the push finally come out. A very exposed tank. Potentially would be good to have seen Xyxer try to actually defend behind the wall, as this is a bit of a tricky hold, but it looks like it's gonna be tough actually. There's another tank. There's one bunker, but it's only got a marine in it. Not gonna do much. But tank's just shredding those Queens and Roaches. So overall, a good hold. Might have actually been good to see a tank up on the high ground there. Really would have caused some problems. Roach is still trying to see what they can get done. More coming out of the Nidus, but we have two tanks on the way. Yeah, see, these tanks just kind of finding themselves up without any backup and out of position, not sieged in time. Barcode managing to find that and take advantage of it. Some desperate mining here from Xyxer. Actually, probably causing him more pain than gain, really. Losing 9 SCVs overall. So, a little bit of a mistake there. Fortunately, there are no creep tumors, so this creep will subside fairly quickly. The Raven taking care of that. Overall, a standard hold, a good hold from Xyxer, but we do see the worker lead now back in favour of the Zerg. Still not what you'd expect at 850, but it has not been a standard game so far with Nidus networks and whatnot going down. And fortunately for Barcode, that threat is kind of always going to be there. That's something that Xyxer's always going to have to be watching out for, which is well, always something that's in the back of your mind and makes you feel a bit uneasy. We do see Xyxer trying to push across the map. Unsieged tanks caught again. Not even going to siege them. Hellbats not going to be effective against roaches, but just in so many numbers, it's actually going to be a tough one to hold. 3 tanks, well, already down to 2. Really, those roaches trying to pick them off, get on top, cause them to damage themselves, and well, another tank does go down, but there's still 2 left, and all those roaches down. So you're gonna see maybe the boys being pulled. No, boys being extended to the main. This third base is definitely in trouble. There's no defense there. 4 roaches coming out. That's not gonna be enough. Xyxer in a good position here. Double the army supply, and a lot of reinforcements coming across the map. Barco trying again, trying to take out those tanks. Will get 1, will get 2 of them, so a nice pick off there. No tanks currently, and oh, here we go. Now Barco pulls out his secret weapon, the muters. And, well, Xyxer, I hate to tell it to you, but Hellions and tanks don't shoot up. We do have a Thor, but so far, just the 1 and 1 Marine. So only 2 things that really shoot up right now, other than auto turrets, and already they're paying off. 1 kill there, so nice auto turret there. 5 kills. Raven's doing alright for himself. 2 health, so might need a bit of repair though. Nice work. Xyxer trying to be a bit more aware of what's going on, going for another scout, because kind of taken by surprise, I think, by those muters. Always a bit of a shock. Fortunately, it doesn't pay much of a price. Just that's the end of the push. So, nice in the end, save. But Xyxer is far ahead now. We've got 4 bases out, and as said earlier, we always, as a Zerg player, you always want to be ahead 1 base, and that 4th base has only just started. Xyxer sniffs that 4th base might be on the menu. He doesn't know it's there, but he's heading there. And, well, muters against Thors. Ouch. Not going to end too well. So, army lead and worker lead, just general supply lead, heavily in favour of Xyxer. The push was slowed, but he's back with renewed energy, with renewed Thors. And this again was going to be a tough hold. Just a couple of Hellbats there to take care of the Lings, tanks to take care of the Roaches, and I'm not quite sure how Barcode's going to defend us. I think he is in a rough spot. 10 Roaches on the way, it's just not going to be enough. Thors don't trade too badly against the Roaches, especially though when we've got siege tank support. So 6 drones already going down. The muters just can't get anything done. With the Thors there, they cover too much. So Xyxer's mech play, strong and tough to deal with as a Zerg. Roaches often the answer, but you need a much stronger economy behind it. The idea with Zerg dealing with mech is you want to have a lot of economy, generally speaking. Here we go, GG is called. Or G. So, as the mech player, often you're not able to push across the map too much other than with Hellions. So, the idea is that the Zerg player can expand quickly, get a lot of defense up for those Hellions, but really a lot of drones, a lot of bases. And then manages to kind of crush the Terran with their economy. Not able to do that this game. That, unfortunately, for him, failed. Nidus Rush not panning out. Well played by Xyxer. That puts us back into a tie, if I am correct, because we have Team GdA. I'll just update the scores now. But it is 4-all. This is a close one. Both teams, players playing very well, representing their teams in good fashion. We are just trying to sort out some details, potentially some revivals going on of players, as we have in this format. We will bring you back to the game as soon as we can. Until then, going for a quick break. we should be back. So, sorry about that. In the top right, we have the self-reviving GreenBirds representative, Orange Zerg, Jeremy. And in the bottom left, representing Team GdA, the Red Terran, Xyxer. Okay. Nicely timed hatch going down for Jeremy. We'll see if he decides to be aggressive like he was earlier. Looks like this game going to be a little bit more standard going for your, I think it was 17, 16, 17 perhaps. Didn't quite catch that. Just to be sure, Xyxer's making his way across the map, trying to spot any potential early pull or aggression, and just see what his opponent is up to, see if he's having a good day. This is, I believe, the decider, as it is a best of 9. We have the winner of this match decides the winner of the day, really, of the evening. Does see the spawning pool, decides I can build my CC on location, and does just that. Looking like we're going to have a similar opening here. Factory, expecting a reactor, and there it goes. So reactor, Hellions, very much on menu for the Terran. Another early gas here, so really committing into the gas again, another Roach Warren. Seems like we're going to have another early Roach push, perhaps not with the Nidus this time, but we will just have to wait and see. Could still happen. Very heavy commitment to gas, perhaps more than necessary, but we'll see. This Roach is going to go completely unaffected. What's the word I'm looking for? But yeah, no Zeglings to defend. 4 on the way now, but yikes! Reaper getting 2 drone kills is not what you bank on, but you're certainly not going to complain about it. With the Queens here, this is likely to be the end of that. And not going to get away, actually. Reaper getting caught. So, not the cleanest getaway. But I do believe, if I can check,
Add-on
see the Roach Warren and the 2 gases. So, it's definitely going to suspect that something, because I'm seeing as there was no links to defend initially. And we do see Jeremy banking a lot of gas and not really able to spend it. So perhaps a bit too much into gas at this point. And we see, because yeah, even where we're producing roaches, mineral income is just not enough. It's not there to enough to spend the gas, so it could definitely take some down to the natural. But again, Xyxer's coming in and seeing no drones on the mineral line. So if he didn't know before, he certainly knows now. This is definite committed aggression from the Zerg player. We'll see how he decides to react. We do have 2 Vikings on the way. Not the best reaction unit, I should say, against roaches, but also a tank now. And that is more like what we expected to see. Tanks shred roaches. Marauders are going to shred the roaches. So at this point, Zerg has decided to send their units across the map, but unlucky or unhelpful supply block. Their roaches do cost a lot of supplies here, there's a lot of overlords to support that. We do see now, that's where the gas was for. So morphing into the Ravagers. 11 lava sitting around, so debatable, because now we have a lot of gas minerals sitting there, and no link production. Usually what we see if there is heavy gas investment, then we see the Ravagers and we see links with it. Ravagers hitting in. No bios as of yet on the tanks. It's slow there. One does go down. The tank falls. So, 2 Marauders. Not going to cut it against this many Vikings plan. Nice bios there to take out the repairing bit dicey. We don't have any reinforcements coming across the map. There. And there we see the wall coming up. So this is likely where the push comes to an end. Instead of taking out the natural, Jeremy decides to try and make his way up the ramp into a tank and a bunker. Not a decision that pays off for him in the end. And that's the end of this push. He's still rallying across the map actually with roaches. But with the tank out, only a tank out, I mean, it's a bit debatable, but we do have some rifles landing. So yeah, that's the end of that push. Very behind on workers as we see, 20 to 30. So Xyxer is in a really good position. Potentially, I would like to see more tanks coming out. That's really the key to this defense. Is tanks and marauders. I'm not quite sure why we're getting so many Vikings. I might be missing something, but there's not too much here to be going against. And Vikings do bonus damage against the mechanical. We don't have any mechanical units, so it's not bonus damage not really paying off. So Jeremy's going to have to kind of maybe change his tactic a little bit because it's not really worked so far. We've got more lings coming out, but no ling speed. Slow lings against tanks, they're not. Lings against tanks aren't too bad, but slow lings aren't. And at this point in the game, we really should be having fast lings. Now, the drone pull is happening, and Xyxer's seeing everything here. There's 2 cyclones on the way. I'm not quite sure why the investment into cyclones, not tanks. A few unmining SCVs here. Very cool. But this is, if there's such a thing as, if there was ever an all-in, this is it. No drones at home. Well, we have one on game, so we got stuck. But this is it. See what he's got. There's some supply depots coming up. Nice wall off there to give a bit of extra time for the tank. Some more unfortunate AI decisions. So nice taking advantage of that by the tank. So Xyxer is really going to hold this. And this is what he did for Jeremy. Well played, good defense in the end. So we have a 5-4 victory to Team GdA. Congratulations to them, well played by both teams. It was my pleasure to cast and host this for you. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope to see you again. So, from Team GdA, I am Failed, and this is me signing off. Thanks all for watching, and I hope to see you again. Remember to subscribe to Twitter and follow the channel. Thanks very much.